fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What we gonna eat no money, what we at you, eat no at you. Covid money, miss we eat the yellow rat you. Use the youth, the money, waste a must a man to statue. Say me like a catch you, but me got in a figure you. Take this script of money, God and say that is not you. One day the man above end up, him a got a bet. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me
300% free.
It burn me
Garbage pile of it.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption cease.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
For me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no mega bigger. The urgent the promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth and rap and they down in our fever. Member bowl money and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
Or they treat the market man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
Or they treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the son man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
Or them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat everyone.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You
Stibby dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no cape. And some informer friend we love Lake. We in Global. Bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global. We not promote them. We not support them. Look at them on the cheek come here represent for. We in Global TV. Check it.
Good morning. It is Sunday, the 2nd of July. Summer look like him peep far around house corner again. We don't know how long before him run behind the back of the house. But good morning and welcome to the Sunday Probe. We're going to open a new line of probing this morning. Bear in mind that for already started probe, we're still waiting for some answers. But good morning and welcome to everyone. Good morning to my community of parity and all my family members, platform membership holders, moderators, viewers, and subscribers, commenters, dead live viewers, new subscribers to the Global Television family. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you very much for being a part of this family. Welcome. Yvonne Johnson, Natalia Freeman, Patricia Matthews, Debbie Jervis, good morning, JP. Good morning, Pamela McNeil, Yvonne Riley, Wayne Jones, Jim Ashley, Woman of Word, Salem Dancers, Patricia Bartley, Jacqueline Brooks, Miguel King, Andrea, Lissam Riley, Abinasa Cody, Christopher, Andre Hazel, Violet Watson, Kennedy Thompson, Anne-Marie Matheson, Anne-Marie Samuels, Joan Bailey, Raymond G. Good morning, all, and welcome Thank you all for being here with us this morning. No, Tony. Shower Tony. No, where they are. No, Shower Tony. Everybody hear about Shower Tony first. But before we go into the Shower Tony probe and the Western Jamaica water situation probe, Raymond Norman Ferguson, Paulette Russell, we will just ponder off into an observation, Marcia Este. No, Tony. Shower Tony. Keeps happening. Never heard of him? No, from JLP there, no, from PNP. No, hear about that, know about Shower Tony. I want to know who Shower Tony is. Mr. Johns is his last name. Johns. Shower Tony. I wonder if Lisa Hanna know who he is. I wonder if Carrie Douglas would know who he is. The Prime Minister certainly knows who Shower Tony is. But we'll ponder off onto our observation. And let me say, for those of you who do not like to hit the like button, some of you have always been asking me for a Zelle, to pin a Zelle. We finally have access to a Zelle, and it is pinned this morning. It's up to you how you want to treat it. So I want to ponder off onto an observation. This is not an investigation. This is an observation. Good morning to the gentlemen and their wives. Wives from the east. Bros, how are you? Good morning to the gentlemen and their wives from the east. Spies, good spies and wives from the east rhyme. It's just observation. This is not a probe. I'm just asking, could wives from the east rhyme with spies? I don't know. Another thing that rings home with this photograph, generational wealth. Keeping it in the family. At least Mount Golden kept the wealth, the generational wealth in the black family. Hey, in the West here, Michelle Clark. Wives from the East. Spies from the East. I wonder if America is getting into the rhyme of the rhythm. America may already be in the rhythm. Wives from the East. Spies from the East. It's just an observation. Anne-Marie Matheson. It's just an observation. Just I wonder if the American them see. Are them a panda? Or it cause them not concerned? Your wife, though, Dr. Clark, is a professor at the University of the West Indies in natural product in the Faculty of Science and Technology. The question I want to ask, though, Dr. Clark, this is a mini probe. I know of circumstances where European doctors in the West here use traditional method that has long been established by indigenous people using our natural herbs for healing. and has painted it for themselves. And after successful court challenge, they've lost those patenting. Now your wife is in the research, Dr. Clark, of natural products. I'm just hoping though, Dr. Clark, these critique, good morning. I'm just hoping though, Dr. Clark, that your wife and her cahoots wouldn't be one of those who would be patenting or indigenous medicine into their scientific field, and I come tell we say, oh, there is a groundbreaking research from Professor Rupika Delgoda, Clark, you would have to add. So we just have to say, we are look. If the thing that our grandmother do to we when we're sick, if we're not going to label them and say it's a groundbreaking research. So remember if you tell them to pick them all when we go and say, look out. The things your grandmother used to use, look after you. Or you don't have to go to hospital. Beat and teach, wagwan. The things them where granny used to use by you when you don't have to go to hospital. Just look out, Patricia Matthews, that maybe they don't put their name and some scientific name on it. And put out journal and say we break the code. They lie and wicked enough. Audrey Robson. You don't have to keep on your eye upon them. Intellectual property thief, wild round here. You don't have to keep on your eye upon intellectual property theft. Now make them come back down on a granny remedy. One can go pull a bush and boil and grind it up in a capsule gear and tell yourself it's a groundbreaking research. They find how this work for this and they find what this good for. Sethian Parkins, how are you? Long time no see. Dan Campbell, I know you're always here. How are you? Cousin Jamie, Cousin Myrna. Sim, Wagwan. So that was just an observation and a little probe there. So I don't think I even have nothing in the queue for Little Matt. But I want to ask Little Matt and the government of Jamaica, the Jamaica Labour Party, the People's National Party, who are meant to be keeping a close eye on this. I am receiving calls from Western Jamaica complaining of the water situation. But what I am also told, and I would like, if this is the truth, that people in the communities of Western Jamaica or anywhere in Jamaica that is experiencing this situation, you need to get the information to whichever vlogger you choose. Leroy Cornwall, Marcia, Stuart, how are you? Kenroy Smith. You need to get the information to whichever vlogger you choose so this information, Grace Linton, can get out in the public. I am being told, we are aware of how Amber got removed, Amber Joy got removed from IRA FM over her outspokenness of the water situation in Western Jamaica and the lies told by Matthew Samuda, which after Matthew Samuda and Andrew Holness intervened, all of a sudden I'm Banada Ira FM again. Is there any truth to the argument that these massive hotels in Western Jamaica, which we were told that it is a possibility that the people's water supply have been diverted to source those establishments? But what I'm asking, is there any truth to the argument that these hotels are digging super wells along the coastline where they're operating? And one of the complaints I am having, and this is something that would serve Beth Foreman Price. If you're listening, you're in the environmental and all of them something there. Residents of Jamaica, of Western Jamaica, are saying salt water is coming through their pipes in their house. Now, if there are super wells being digging in whichever region or wherever, Lawrence Beckford, could it be that there has been a breach of our water table? Is anyone aware of the situation that came across me, that salt water, Rena, is entering into the freshwater system? Salt water is coming through some people taps in their house. Is anyone aware of that situation? Is there anyone that is experiencing anything of such? Why don't you do a panel discussion where you can speak to each other and turn to type? I can pin the link, and if people wants to join, they are free to. But I will, after I ask the questions about Tony, Shower Tony, then yes, I will. Hold on. Hold on. So the link to the panel is pinned, but I will explore. Make sure you keep your points so when you come on, you know what you'll be talking about. But I want to I want to ask the questions about Tony first. Right. So, Shauna Smith, how are you? If anyone, Jawan D, good morning. If anyone is experiencing, Rodney Reed, that water situation of which I'm talking about in Western Jamaica, Anthony Stewart, where people are having salty water coming through their pipes in their house. If anyone is aware of that situation, if anyone is having that experience, please make sure you get that information out there to the vlogging community. I am getting such calls, but I still want to know from more people. So if it is a situation, Ronald Dixon, Jeanette Riley, if it is a situation that you're experiencing, then please do get the information out here. We want to know if our water table is breached. We want to know if these hotels are digging super wells along the coastline or within proximity of the coastline, or from anybody who understands the environmental implications of that, if that is a possibility where our water table could suffer such breach. So I'm hoping that maybe even Matthew British may be able to answer that question for us. Over Twitter, good morning. Me not able to see on comments because Twitter comment don't come up in a thingy there. But anyone I know from over Twitter know Tony? Shower Tony? Shower Tony, yeah. Anyone I know from over there know him? Come on, man. Shower Tony did popular in the Labour Party. Does anyone... Hold on there. Does anyone from over Twitter know who Shower Tony is? Da, da, da. Shower Tony. Ubuntu, good morning. Mr. Tony, Ivan Bradford. No one know who Shower Tony is. Shower Tony rub shoulder with the whole of them. Shower Tony and whole of people close. None of them did hear the news of Shower Tony death in the media. Any of you heard about Shower Tony death in social fix FIX Bailey? Good morning. I wonder if it could be the situation, Mr. Bailey. Freedom. I wonder if it could be a situation where Shower Tony was shot at his business place. But when you went there, you found him chopped to death. If we have to follow Fitzbailey narrative, he could have been shot to death. But by the time Fitzbailey got there, he was chopped to death. It's just trying to work with the Fitzbailey argument. We're just trying to work out if we can work with anything where Fitzbailey would have told us. Lisa Hanna, do you know of why anyone would want to kill Shower Tony? Shower Tony is quite close to a lot of you, but particularly those of the Jamaican Labour Party. Do you know anything of Shower Tony's death, Miss Hannah? Do you know why the police, Miss Hannah, would not be investigating or have got an interest, Derek Green, in investigating Shower Tony's death? Kamina Johnson Smith. Who shot Shower Tony? Does anyone know or is aware of why Tony was killed? Why none of you? Tony was killed about a year ago, I understand. But why isn't none of you having that conversation? about Tony's death, about Tony's murder. He was killed about a year ago. I don't remember the exact. I will get back onto that, but it was a year ago. I know he was alive in 2022. I saw evidence of that. But it was in 2023 or late 2022, he was shot in his business place. Prime Minister, the Honorable Doctor, the criminal. You were close to Tony, weren't you? Tony would what you would have referred to as a stalwart of the Jamaica Labour Party, a community man, a businessman, I understand. One which knows a lot, it appears. Who Tony held information on? Who Tony held information on? If I'd say I remember, shower Tony. Could it be that Tony held damning information on someone and was possibly about to use it? Just asking, Prime Minister. Why no one is interested in finding out who killed Tony? I wonder if Dr. Nesbitt take up the spank shell them cat. We don't know, Dr. Nesbitt, she will just appear out of thin air and just grab up the spank shell them, so but we want to know who killed Tony. Is the probe this morning. Who was Tony? Tony was connected to both sides of the political party, all the way up. The House of Parliament was set on fire. What does that mean, SG? All the way up. Tony was close and friendly with people all the way up. I wonder if Cliff Hughes would have heard anything as to who might have wanted Tony dead. Would Lisa Hanna, the Prime Minister, Lisa Hanna, the Prime Minister, Minister, walk up and down, tell Liar Foreign Johnson Summit. I just wonder if any of you would have had any slightest idea why anyone would want to kill Shower Tony. Just wondering. It's just a wonder and a ponder. It's just a wonder. Who could have killed Tony? Who could have wanted Tony dead? Why was Tony killed? What information Tony held that was detrimental to somebody in high places? You said that it happened this morning. House of Parliament was set on fire. But there were Parliament meeting on Duke Street. Really? You have to go look into the Gleaner when we don't go to ask the questions about Tony. Right. That was Mr. Tony's business place. It is where he was shot. But there was no meaningful investigation. We don't hear nothing much in the media. I wonder if anyone put anything on social media. Somebody tell me what a politician boy a name, please, with the side of Tony. Nobody know him name, one of the wicked and thief and liar. What happened to Tony? Why none of them want to know was somebody when it's so close to Holy Pound? Why none of them want to know how Tony dead? Why none of them don't want nobody? Andrea said he was a fixer for the government. Brenda Elson, how are you? Why nobody no want to know who killed Tony and why Tony dead? Why nobody no want the culprit to go to prison? Who is protecting the culprit? Who was the culprit working for? What information did Tony held that was detrimental to some career? Who wanted Tony out of the way? Who was he a threat to? Why not talk about it? Tony has always been very close to the Prime Minister. When they're in the campaign, Tony and the one where they out a war under their way say, hey, Prime Minister, can you see me? I am Shower Tony, I'm over here. No, they were always close. Isn't so, Prime Minister? Quite close. But we don't know why no one know. Why no not talk about it? Why not act like a woman picnic him be? Why not act like him never own a friend? Huh? Are you saying that one that I was asking? Hold on. And this one you say is Robert Miller and likely a friend of Alric Campbell. Why no talk about Tony debt? Why Tony debt so hush? Prime Minister Tony wasn't a stranger to you. Thanks, bros. Tony wasn't a stranger to you, Prime Minister. Why on don't want to know? Is there any, let me check out if there's anything going on PBCJ that I can stream to you all. Hold on there. If them I have no live broadcast about what go on, or I just Cliff Hughes and him friend them. But we want to know who killed Tony. We want to know who killed Tony. He was very on Nationwide News. Tony was in the somebody wrote something on social media. Carlene Richards, how are you? Somebody wrote something on social media. I was deeply saddened to learn of the brutal murder of my friend and colleague, Shower Tony. Tony was a committed laborite who was serious about political activism and who embraces me with welcome arm when I joined the family 3 years ago. Who could have write that? Who could have write that? I last spoke to Tony in December last year when he was organizing his charity group to do a special Christmas feeding for the homeless. I am grateful for his contribution to the Jamaica Labour Party, and he will be forever missed. Rest well, Tony, till we meet again. Shower Tony. Who could have written that? And I wonder if the writer would have heard any argument on the street as to why Shower Tony was brutally murdered, Colleen James, Sean Bernard, in his business place. A long-standing activist and stalwart of the Jamaica Labour Party, a community man, hitched up under the Prime Minister's arm, Barrington Vickers, on every political motorcade and campaign. Nobody wants to know why Tony was murdered. Miss Karen Douglas, good morning. Jason Kane. Good morning, Miss Karen Douglas. Quite a heart bleeding writing on your social media page, wasn't it, Miss Carrie Douglas? Do you know who would want to kill Tony? Have you heard any argument, Miss Douglas, on the street as to who may have killed Tony, or who, Miss Douglas, may have wanted Tony dead? Who may have wanted Tony dead? Because that what I've just wrote was from Miss Carrie Douglas. I wonder if Lisa Hanna heard anything. I wonder if the Prime Minister heard anything. I wonder if Kamina Johnson Smith heard anything about Tony's death. One of the things Tony's mother would want to hear something from an investigation as to who may have killed her son. Do you not think the entire family want to hear what happened to Tony? Do you not think the family would like to see the culprit before the court? Is there any member of the Jamaica Labour Party? Is there any member of the People's National Party? Is there any member of Tony's community and family that would like justice? Or have you been threatened into silence? Do you know anything of Tony's death, Prime Minister? Tony was very close to you. Very close to you, Prime Minister Annie Jones. Tony was connected to a lot of you in the political arena. He wasn't just a Tony out there. He wasn't just a Tony out there. I'm just going through what I'm seeing on Nationwide. He wasn't just a Tony out there. He was well connected to a lot of influential people at the top of our country, the top of our political space, the top of our government. And Tony was brutally murdered at his business place. And I'm friend them, Charming Ranger. Leroy Cornwall, I wonder, Juliet Holness, did Tony have a lot of land? We know when it comes to land in Juliet, we have to cover our finger off of the title them. Did Tony have any land? Did Tony have a lot of lands? Was Tony business place rented or bought? Who owned it now? Pauline Dixon. Hold on, I could run go back over Tony, then we will come back over the nationwide. Miss Carrie Douglas, have you heard anything on the street? Have you heard anything that would have been of importance to the police? Fix Bailey. Kevin confused. We know Gugu Gaga had no interest in that case. But then again, if you go over the precipice at such a high speed and crash and kill yourself, and as a dead man, you still come out of the car and go find something, tie in a tree, go up in a tree or turn up on something, tie around your neck, then kick off the something. Remember, say you're still dead when you're doing the whole of them something there, you know, Colin James, Christine Gilbert. Remember, say all when you can remember, say when Mr. Moore they do all of them something that the postmortem said Mr. Moore back broke. The broke back man come out of the car, Fitz Bailey, and come hang himself. I wonder, Fitz Bailey, if it could be in a case where he was shot, but when you went there, he had a heart attack and there was no foul play. Heart attack and whole foul play and heart attack to work together. If him have heart attack. I wonder if there was a postmortem done and shower Tony's body flew and how you do. Yes, the probe continues, Flo. The probe continues. I wonder if he was shot. But because by the time Fitz Bailey got there, he had a heart attack. Then there was no foul play. Just like how the Brockback man, Orville Moore, got up out of his car that flew over the precipice at an express speed. Like we are aware now that a Jamaica Defense Force helicopter is more than highly likely involved in the assassination of Orville Moore. Could it be that members of the JDF or members of the JCF, just like, hey, remember, it was members of the JCF, Juliet Holness and Tom Tavares, Finson used to kill Dog Paul. Could it be that Shower Tony was taken out by security forces on request of those in high places? These questions we need to ask. So to Kevin confused, would you reopen the coldness of Shower Tony's case? and see if there's anything, if there wasn't any investigation that was missed. If there wasn't a postmortem, why not? There's a lot of questions to be answered about Tony. Prime Minister Crimson. Member the Patriot Act. Those questions still stand, as well as these questions that we have posed this morning with regards to Shower Tony's death. The link to the panel discussion, if you want to join, is in the top of the chat. You can hit the link and enter the studio. You don't have to put your right name. You don't have to put your right name. You don't have to turn your camera on. If you want to join the discussion, Michelle Clark, are you still here? Now is the time to join the panel discussion. If you have a view, particularly on the water situation in Western Jamaica, Dr. Gordon, if you're experiencing the salt water coming into your fresh water, is it true that there's an arsenal? Yes, let me go back to that article for Nationwide. Hold on there. Yes, this is what Nationwide put out. Authorities probing unprecedented arson attack on Gordon House. Authorities are investigating a suspected arson attack on Gordon House in downtown Kingston committed on Saturday night. So that actually happened last night. An unprecedented move to attack the seat of political power in Jamaica was caught on surveillance video. The fire brigade was summoned and the blaze was quickly extinguished. Reports are there was minor damage to the first floor of the parliamentary building. Video of the aftermath of the incident seen by our news center show scorched wall and damaged electrical fitting. It appears that arsonists used Molotov cocktail to spark the blaze. Burnt fragment of the improvisative explosive can be observed in the aftermath of the blaze. So that was the person that was caught on the surveillance video. That's a screenshot of the person running away from the explosion. There are no reports of injury. In surveillance video seen by our news team, a lone man can be seen approaching the entrance of the parliamentary building. The man disappeared into the entrance of the building seconds before the blaze erupted behind him. He then escaped on foot. So that's the report coming from Nationwide on that at the moment. Does anyone wants to join the conversation? Georgia Dennis, how are you? Good morning. I wonder if there would be anything in the Gleaner about it. Sometime the Gleaner would publish the video. Let me see if they have put out anything. But to those in the political arena, People's National Party and Jamaica Labour Party. If you know anything about Shower Tony's death, why wouldn't you want to speak to the police? You're lawmakers, so you ought to be in the business of abiding by the law, making sure that those who violate is held accountable. Make sure those who are victim and survivor of these atrocities receive justice. Receive justice. You see, nobody don't want to join the discussion now. But we must continue to ask. And you know what, Prime Minister? We're not done with you yet. And the probe we opened over the weekend. We just to give you more time. But we know you're not going to answer. We know you cannot answer. And I don't think you're so stupid, Prime Minister, to come out here, come talk about AI, to come out here, come talk, say, and we make it up. You will try to lay flat like it's not happening. Doesn't mean it's not happening, neighbor. How are you? Doesn't mean, Prime Minister, it is not happening. You understand? But we are going to continue to always ask the questions, because if we don't ask the questions, then when we just move on like nothing happened, even when they're not answering the questions, it's important to ask them. They make government uncomfortable. They make government aware that you are paying attention. They make government aware that you are not happy, nor are you comfortable. Karine Wilson, how are you? Colleen Jones, Colleen James. Make them know you're not happy. But when you sit down, like you're in fear, shut mouth, trembling, ladybug, whisper, but you don't want nobody to know, say, you meet it. And when you meet it hard from this government, you rather come out, come tell lies, say, I'm not golden, I'm going to meet it. You see the issue of our constitution? It gets to the point now where what is going on, we need to abandon it. This whole constitutional review to turn into a reform is a wailing joke. Ask the PM if it is true that he has ownership in funeral home in Canada. Joan Reid, how are you? Prime Minister, a globalist said to ask you, how you do, Beres White? If you have any shares in any funeral home in Canada, we are aware that there's a high possibility that Norman Dunn and Christopher Tufton has shares in Archer's funeral home in Spanish Town, And we're also aware that the Archer's Funeral Home has many government contracts to do with pathology. So we just want to know. If we don't ask questions, these people just sit down and act like nothing is happening. If Mark Golding never asked the question about the report that they turned around and lied about conjugality for, how are you? If Mark Golding never asked question about those reports that they even turn around and lie about, he's lying, there's no report here, while sending back the report through the back door. Those questions bring those reports forward before they want it to come out to the public. Questions are important. Who, Prime Minister Tony, was very close to you? Who killed Shower Tony? Ransford McLean. Who killed Shower Tony? Who wanted Tony dead? Who Tony upset? Who Tony might have held information on that was detrimental to their political career? New Haven Funeral Home. Where is New Haven Funeral Home, Raymond G? Where is New Haven Funeral Home? Is that in Jamaica or in Canada? Where is New Haven Funeral Home? Just looking at paper, so I'll go on. But the University of West Indies last week launched a run to rebut sexual harassment policy. So I go up the road this morning and go buy a mango. I have a ton with my face. When I pay for it, I buy some East Indian and some Julie. I really have a ton with my face. Because when you buy East Indian and Julie in England, when you buy yellow yam, and when you buy breadfruit, you can't look at the price. You just have to turn with your face when you pay for it, because it's not so easy to check so much money for the little pittance when them a check in your hand. So, I feel like I have a fruits day today. I go buy mango, melon, cucumber, and cherry. And them I feel like them throughout the day. So, I have to look the other way, because you can't buy them something that in England and look for. Remember, do you Global TV? Do you remember the Rasta horticulture that was shot in the vehicle? Yes, the Bolt architect. I remember within that same time as well, one soldier did get shot as well. Government. And who did shot that soldier? What a soldier did name again? Lord, what a soldier they did name. The whole of them political killing here, because it is said, Ladybug. It is said Tony's killing is a political death. We knew now Reverend Moore's death was a political death also. It is said Bolt's architect may have been a political death. And there was another soldier. Remember the soldier where the one shot to him forehead or something like that, where the argument was he thought somebody there robbed him car or something like that. the argument also then in some circles was that it was a political death. What are our politicians hiding? Why they have to go to the extreme? 380 and up and produce away in global TV, yeah? And 153 like the live. For those of you who don't want to like the live, see the Zelle there? The Zelle is pinned on the screen. So you can pay your pound if you not hit the like button. So it's a pound or the like button. Which do you choose? I would choose the easier one. I would choose the cheaper one if it's me. But someone are just stubborn. Someone are just stubborn. Come on over Twitter. I'm not gonna talk to me. So holy pound over Twitter must be aware of Tony. Okay, we've been someone never hear about Tony yet. Come on, Twitter people, man. Twitter people. Twitter people, anytime I talk about Andrew Holness, yeah, when you come out in a crowd, when you come out in a crowd, why do you not talk? But just to ask if we don't know Tony, yes or no. They're not telling them to tell me who killed Tony. But just to ask if we don't know who could have killed Tony, Veronica Gale. Where you said that funeral home is in Canada. Let me go back to the name again where somebody did put up for that funeral home. Hold on there. Somebody say the name earlier. What Tufton figure sue about? I run Tufton there on him mouth. Tufton can't sue me. They make a try to cover Jamaican vloggers about sue. Them can't calm me down. Them can't frighten me. I'm not born for frighten. That's why I'm not afraid of Duppy. New Haven, the funeral home is. So New Haven Funeral Home, you said, is in Canada. Do you, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, veteran there? Or veteran there? Wagwan veteran? No, Tony is not alive. Tony, but Fitzbailey might tell you that Tony is alive. Kind of Fix Bailey. Well, Tony, for those of you who just arrived, I'll flick back to the photograph. Tony was a businessman in Kingston. Tony was well connected to the Jamaica Labour Party. Tony was also close to members of the People's National Party, but Tony, Shower Tony, they call him. His last name is Mr. Johns. Tony was well connected. Oh, those are the gentlemen and their wives. Nigel and his wife, Arbin Hill and his wife. Wives from the East. Spies from the East. Move on. Tony. Shower Tony. Shower Tony. Who is Tony? Why was Tony killed? Who wanted Tony dead? Why the media circus and government and JCF is so quiet about Tony's death? Tony was murdered about a year ago. But the whole of them up there is very silent about it. Does Lisa Hanna know who could have killed Tony? Does comedian Johnson Smith know who could have killed Tony? Does the Prime Minister know who could have killed Tony, who wanted Tony dead? Does the Prime Minister want to get to the bottom of Tony's death, somebody who was so close to him? Tony was murdered brutally at his business place. Brutally. Nobody in the media not talk. Nobody in the political rumajama not talk. Then just silence. Want to say that one your name again? Do you know anything? You man on the screen with Tony, no call your name like a while. Something another Miller. Do you know who Tony may have held information on that was detrimental to their career? Do you know who Tony was about to put out information on? Dean Henry, Howard Linder. Do you know who took Tony out, look at TV, to protect their crime or their political career, man on the screen? I don't know, I can't always remember the name, but a some Miller something. It must be. Who wanted Tony dead? Why the JCF is not interested in investigating the death of Tony? Right behind the Prime Minister, there is Tony. Tony not the far from the Prime Minister when them da road or when them da bougie settings. Tony and the Prime Minister close. Some people would say he's a fixer for the government. But Tony was brutally murdered. Shower Tony was brutally murdered at his business place. And everybody just shut up. Plum, so. Tony was always up there with, oops, that was written by Carrie Douglas. Do you know, Miss Douglas, who could have wanted such a political activist, such a community activist dead? On a wine with him, on a dine with him, and most of you have been silenced since he was murdered. Why nobody now want a deep dive into the death of Tony? We know Google Gaga was interested. We're asking Kevin Confused to see if he could open the coldness of Shower Tony's investigation. We want to know if there was a postmortem, if there was a suspect, if there was any question in, if the police had any lead to follow, or the case was cold from the start. Fix Bailey. Could it have been Mr. Bailey that Tony Shower, or Shower Tony, was brutally shot? But by the time you got there, Mr. Bailey, you found him drowning in a bucket. It wouldn't be something. It really wouldn't be something that we have heard from Fitz Bailey in the past, is it? He could be shot brutally. But by the time Fitz Bailey got there, he was drowned in a bucket. So there wouldn't have been any foul play, Fitz Bailey, would it? If Shower Tony, by the time your investigation got onto the scene, your investigators got to the scene, you found Shower Tony drowned in a bucket. This is not an elusive story. I mean, a man with a broken back, Markland Fagan. A man with a broken back, remember, got out of his car, find something to affix to the tree, then around his neck, and then did the dirty on himself. Not that he was killed or murdered, rather, by the Jamaica Constabulary and Defense Force. Not that his car was dropped over the precipice by a Jamaica Defense Force helicopter. Because as I have argument from people who visited the murder scene, his car could flew off the road at God Almighty speed. It would have not gotten to the distance where the car was found. There was many things to have stopped the car at whatever speed it was going before it got to where the JDF helicopter dropped it. So to say Fitzbailey would told us that a man who was brutally shot, drowned in a bucket, it's not a far-fetched story. It's something you heard before. You heard of a man who flew at lightning speed across the precipice and then with a broken back got out of his car and committed suicide by hanging. Yes, Fitzbailey told us that Orville Moore did that. Fitzbailey told us that there was no foul play in Orville Moore's murder. That time when he sat in front of the camera telling us that Fitzbailey had access to the same pathology report that Bishop Patrick Bailey exposed at Reverend Orville Moore's funeral, the corruption, the criminality of the government, the corruption of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the corruption of the Director of Public Prosecution, who did not direct the police to investigate as the postmortem suggested. Yes, Fitzbailey. No, that Fitzbailey, who went into the house of the Prime Ministers, attorney after the Prime Minister's attorney, two lover, went into a raging fit, Colin, and we're talking about Jermaine Jr. and Alonzo Terrelon. Well, Fitzbailey said he was sleeping. So Alonzo Terrelon stabbed Jermaine Jr. 22 times. Not only that, Alonzo Terrelon also shot Jermaine Jr. because Patrick Bailey was sleeping. Fitzbailey told us that at Patrick Bailey's house, there were no break-in and entry. Patrick Bailey was put on bed rest because of how he was disturbed the next day, and the investigation collapsed. Who killed Shower Tony? What happened to Shower Tony? Why all of you are so silent, Valerie, Tash? Why all of you are so silent about Shower Tony's death? The Prime Minister, Kamina Johnson-Simmet, Lisa Hanna, Carrie Douglas, the Jamaica Labour Party, the People's National Party, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the media. I'm gonna silence up. I wanna hide. I wanna protect. Why do you want somebody brought to justice for the death of Showa Tony? Whose political career was Showa Tony a threat to? So that's a whole new line of probe, Prime Minister, that you need to answer to, along with the probe of the investigation under the Patriot Act. And to dipsy, whoopsy, and sipsy, when you can ask some question about Showa Tony's death. When you never hear about it, when you never see it, when you don't want to break a story about it. When you start, that's my ringtone, people, sorry. When you start, yeah? Start do some investigation. Start asking some questions. And make the job meaningful. There's a lot in Jamaica to investigate. The connection between politicians, businessmen, and gunmen and police. Government and police, bad man and police. You remember that Queen Africa song there? Gunman and police. Government and police. Come on, people, support the program. Hit the like button. We're still not at 200 like yet. I want to go on, man. We still not hit 200 like yet. Our them information now where they are likes. Don't start hide news found. We're gonna start them and probe them by writing letter to the people them when me a question. Rather than come out here, come go to the news. Gary Mosley, good morning. How are you? Well, the information nationwide put out, Gary, there was a fire at Garden House last night, appeared to be set off by a lone arsonist. There are video footage, a screenshot has gone to nationwide taken from a video footage they have seen with the gentleman or a lone suspect running away from the scene. Ras Edward, how are you? So this is what nationwide has put out in public. Yeah, so that's what they've put out in public, but it is said that it is minor. It is minor issues. Bear with me. Let me take a quick break and join you back shortly.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't for me again.
What people do in no money, what people at you in no at you. Covid money, me say we in the year little rat you. Use the youth, them money, waste and must a man to statue. Say me like a catch you, but bigger than a figure you. Take the skin from money, girl, and say that is not you. On the head, the man above him, him a got a bet. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me,
300% raise.
it burn me,
Garbage pile up the day.
it burn me,
Give the teacher them
it
raise.
burn me,
I see corruption
it
cease.
burn me,
Mash down the people them house.
it burn me,
Every day appear arms out.
it burn.
Thank you very much and welcome back to the group. Thank you all for being here this morning. This is unprecedented for our Jamaica. Yeah, the soldier will possible and the soldier will phone Daniel Royal. Now we can't know if that soldier they are dopey. If that was the soldier that was shot, we just been hanged. Sifu Francis, how are you? We just been hanged and dangled all over the place when we didn't know anything. Hold on, let me look through some of the comments. But as I was saying, Moses, they said there isn't much damage to the building and the lone assailant made off, but they are continuing their investigation. That's a screenshot that Nationwide put out from the video they claim to have had access to. And there are no reports of any injuries either because it took place last night. So we are waiting to see what other publication or news release that may come forward from any of the media houses looking at this issue really. Where was the security? Gary Mosley, that's quite a good question because such establishment would have 24-hour security. I wonder though, Gary, come to know me like to go off in a wondering and pondering. I wonder if this could be a distraction to push us away from the citizenship argument now that the handle of the knife has become the blade for the Jamaican Labour Party. I was asking what happened to the security. Yeah, a lot of people is wondering what happened to the security. I see where Dr. John Crow is advising people to boil water delivered by trucks. You see this water situation, it's getting more and more out of hand. And if any of you knew or know of anyone in Jamaica who's experiencing a problem that has came up to my knowledge, where some people are having experience of salt water coming into their freshwater system, they might get salty water through their taps. And it is also said that them hotel on the Western Jamaica coast are dig super wells down there. Does anyone have any information or knowledge of such? We don't have to talk it on the platform, get it to any, try to get the information to any of us vloggers out here. Because if our water table has been breached, and if Raymond, who understand the environmentalist approach, if Raymond Price could pay attention to that, if that is an issue and a possibility. Because this water situation where you coming like we live in a country, Patrick Godfrey, of stagnant water now, where we can't get no proper treated running water anymore. And a little rancid water where them can come in the slimy drum and the rusty chuck come give way is becoming a risk to our health. It's becoming a risk to our health. I mean, not hear nobody talk Janet McIntosh. Everyone smiling. I not hear nobody talk about the looming health implication, the cholera crisis that could break out in our country, given the water situation and the type of water storage we're using across the country. Even though this government say, he might do this and he might do that. Nobody not understand the system of upkeep in a Jamaica. Them wait till they mash up and pop down and broke off before anything is done about it. And when them wait till they mash down and broke off and pop up, you have to wait all 100 years before them implement it. Take, for example, the buildings rented by the tax administration. We just sit down there for 3 years and pay millions for doing nothing. So we now talk conspiracy and kukodolali over here. What land of wetwood and dry water you're talking about? Yvonne Riley? Or are you talking about land of wetwood and dry water? Because that's how we're going to have to talk called Jamaica now. You know. Land of wetwood and dry water. Can you say it turn around? The $1 billion paradise. Burn. Find out if hospital and clinic in the area are reporting stomach virus. Jamaicans across Jamaica, in your communities, do you know of anyone who are having stomach virus, stomach bug, vomiting and diarrhea? Nausea after drinking water. People, if things are happening, wanna stop, sit down and suffer in a silence. Get the information to people who can ask the question. Nobody go over Auntie Sus. Nobody go over Auntie Sus and her friend them. Next thing you know, them take it and them push it in a cabinet filing jar like Nigel. Figure out Jonjo. Like Sizzler head. Figure out Jonjo. You see that SSL galangin? I haven't read the judgment, but based on the reporting, and Nigel and the FSC to get battering over it. From my understanding, what the court is saying, FSC can't take over trusteeship are running off SSL because them know of the problem that existed at SSL long time. It appears from what we knew then that FSC warned Nigel Clark about SSL and others. Nigel Clark said he never get it. When Nigel Clark was searched under the cabinet, knock off the dust and the cobweb, all Me did get it, but me never see it. So in the ruling where you see come out, it's because of those actions. Where FST warned Nigel never do nothing. So the government has said, the court has said, just like how I left them to run it down to the ground, leave them, make the person where them appoint to run it, because when Uno did for either shut it down or take it over in the administration, Uno walk away and leave it to collapse. That's my understanding that I'm explaining to you. So Nigel Clark, in my view, even have a lot more questions to answer than the Financial Service Commission or what they name. Because from what we knew, they warned Nigel about SSL and other financial institutions. Nigel, though, refused to do anything about the warning he got from the Financial Service Commission. And in my view, though have not read the judgment yet, the consequences of the judgment is to do with them knowing and allowing the thing to fall flat on them face. So might as well you make them pull themselves out of the muddy water where them draw. You are under no authority to move in now when you could have moved in long time to save the people their money. You wait till everything pop down over there. Then you are going to come out and say, all right, we want to appoint a trustee or an administrator to run the company temporary. The court has said, no, make the people them with SSL, the trustee with SSL appoint to run it. Because when Uno did for take over, or Uno did for stop the bank and Uno never do it, Uno and Nigel allow it to fall in the ground. But the Minister of Finance have questions like the many he's been dodging from the budget, like the many he's been dodging that came out of the two report, the Tax Administration of Jamaica report and the Financial Service Commission report. Well, at that time we find out, say, even though we there can't parent and buy food, we are parent for cobweb, we are parent for cockroach and duppy. Yeah, millions of it, Yvonne Green. Millions of it were paid for cockroach, duppy, and all sorts. Since then, Nigel Clark just gone in a silent and prepare for answer with question. Valerie Godfavor, how are you? Don't prepare to answer no question to none of it at all. Him just think to say, let me put my head down for 9 days. The damn old fool them soon get about it. And then me can come out and tell more lie. We still out to sit down and wait for the answer, Nigel. And when you answer we in the F-relied way, we still have more questions to put on top of that. I wonder if you would know anything about Shower Tony death, Nigel. Don Mel, good morning. Good afternoon. I wonder if you would know anything about Shower Tony's death. I wonder if Kerry Douglas would know. I wonder if Lisa Hanna would know. I wonder if the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, would know. I wonder if Commander Johnson Simmet would know. And to other question that one of my globalists asked, I wonder if Tony had a lot of land and Juliet knew about it. I wonder if Juliet had anything to do with Melissa Silvera's killing our land? We just ask. We're not afraid to ask questions and I can't stop with from ask it. Cannot stop her from asking questions. But we want to know why Shower Tony was killed. Someone who is so influential in the Jamaica Labour Party. Somebody who was so close to the Prime Minister and a lot of members of Parliament in the Jamaica Labour Party. Some People's National Party member. And Tony just brutally murdered, so. JCF shut up, media shut up, government shut up, him colleague them shut. No friend and colleague died. None of the one know how Tony died. None of the one know who Tony may have had information on. None of the one know who was in fear of Tony putting out what he knew about them. None of one know. Let me tell you who I know. Tony's family. Tony's family, I'm sure, would like to know who killed Tony, why they've killed Tony, and why nobody who was connected to Tony wants to talk about his death or want to see justice for Shower Tony. That is our Sunday probe on global television this morning, this afternoon in your London time. Thank you all for joining us. Was Tony a fixer for the government? Was Tony a fixer for the Prime Minister? Was Tony a fixer for the Jamaica Labour Party? Who killed Shower Tony? Tony Tall, how are you? Thank you all for being here with us this morning on the Global Probe. The Prime Minister is under many probes, and we will open questions to the Prime Minister as we see them fit. The Prime Minister is the ultimate decision maker in our country. The Prime Minister is the one who makes decision, and his team. The decision they make affect all of us. It is them and no one else. Feet must be held to the fire. Them and no one else. Feet must be held to the fire. When the opposition, People's National Party, comes to government, then they will be under the probe because they are the decision makers. They are the ones who are taking decision that is affecting our lives. Decision that affect our economy. So, it's not plain politics by calling out one side and not calling out the other side. No, it's the government feet that must be held to the fire. That's how politics works. That is how politics works. hold the government feet to the fire. Or the Catholic people, them do them yearly. Galang, where they march and burn them smoke and their religious effigies and all of what them can come out with. But thank you all very much for being here this morning. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you very much for being here on the group. If you are new, please hit the subscription button so when we put out a broadcast, you will all be aware. If not, if you have already, then make sure you hit the like button before you exit. So thank you all very much for being here this morning. Really, really appreciate your support. Join us back here later tonight when we will continue the Global Probe. Good morning and good afternoon from Global Television. Thank you.